Hi, I'm Jess. I am the US membership manager for My Surrogacy Journey, and thanks for joining me. Today we are going to be watching a video about two parents in the US state of Michigan who had to adopt their own biological children after a surrogacy journey because of the outdated laws in Michigan. So excited to watch this. Dive in, please like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell to be updated about all of our current and future videos. All right, let's get going. Okay, the title of this video, so I've not been briefed, I don't know anything about these, but the title of this video is Parents Adopt Own Biological Babies After Surrogate Controversy. Ooh, okay, let's go.
In 2015, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And because of that diagnosis, I was told that if I were to try to carry another child, it would likely bring my cancer back. So the only option they gave me was to do an emergency egg harvest. And then if I made it through and things worked out, we would have to find a gestational carrier to carry our child.
And this is really common here at MSJ, and I know surrogacy agencies everywhere. We work with a lot of oncology patients because it is, surrogacy and pregnancy can be really challenging, and particularly from, you're putting a huge amount of hormones into your body. So I'm not a doctor, but even doing an emergency egg collection prior to going through chemo, it can, from what I understand, there's even a risk with that because you're injecting a bunch of hormones into your body. So, and it must be devastating, not only to find out that you have breast cancer and you need to go through this treatment and, you're at risk, but that your future fertility and your future family building options have just been completely changed. Just from an emotional standpoint, it must be really challenging.
It's an expensive process. It's complicated, especially in the state of Michigan. We have...
Oh, Michigan. Yeah. Okay. So as this mom says, it's expensive and it's complicated. I think that's probably a vast understatement. If you work with a good agency like MSJ, we try and make it as the complications less, because we're looking after you for your journey. Obviously, with MSJ, we have options like the Mexico City pathway, which does bring down the cost compared to journeys in the U.S. But expensive and complicated is one way of putting it.
Our attorney, Melissa, and Senator Brinks and Senator Hertel, who are working right alongside of us, and they're pushing to actually make this better for families like ours in the future. They have actually introduced 4 new surrogacy bills into the Michigan House of Representatives and the Senate. These bills alone would pave a much easier path for families in our shoes and make it much more doable to achieve a pre-birth order before the children leave the hospital, and it would alleviate any reason to go through a full adoption like we have had to do. We've been working towards this for 23 months, and to know that we can put this chapter behind us it's just amazing.
It's a longer process.
I've actually heard of this couple before and have kind of been following their case from afar. I've never seen this video. But they rightfully, I think, made a lot of headlines in the States. I think it was really brave of them, if I'm being quite honest, to do surrogacy in Michigan, knowing what the laws were ahead of time. In the U.S., the surrogacy laws are determined by state. Obviously, there's 50 states in the U.S., so every single one has their own surrogacy laws. And up until very recently, it wasn't allowed in Michigan, and most surrogacy agencies wouldn't match intended parents with a surrogate in Michigan precisely because of this, because the parents would have to adopt their own biological children, which, as a parent who has been through surrogacy, is just unfathomable to me. So I think, it was really brave of these parents to do it. I don't know their circumstances. I don't know if it was a known surrogate, so if it was like a family friend, a family or a family member or a friend who had offered to care for them and just happened to live in Michigan. I don't know if they had decided to go on this route because they they also felt that this law was incredibly unfair and unjust, and decided to effectively put themselves forwards as the people who would be able to push that change through. When my husband and I were deciding to do surrogacy, one of the reasons that we ended up doing a US journey, so I'm American, I live here in the UK. One of the reasons we decided to do a journey in the US was so that we could have that pre-birth order, so that we could have that legal comfort, and that we didn't have to adopt our children. Because here in the UK, you go through an order called a parental order process. So it's not adoption, but it is a post-birth process. And, we personally wanted that legal security. And so the thought of any parent having to effectively adopt their own biological children is just, it's sad, and it's heartbreaking that those children's first few years and the parents' first few years of being a parent has been marred, has been encroached upon by this legal case and the need to adopt to provide their parentage. And sadly, that is the case in other places around the world as well. I mean, we're specifically talking about Michigan, but I know in other countries, parents, or particularly like a non-bio parent, will still have to adopt their child, which, comes with all sorts of, it's an emotional roller coaster anyway, that comes with all sorts of added emotional elements. So let's see the outcome.
For people that are in our situation and have been in our shoes, and it just doesn't need to happen that way anymore. And the science and the law needs to catch up to the science, and I think hopefully some waves can be made here soon.
And luckily, I know the outcome, and that surrogacy has been legalized in Michigan. The laws were voted upon, I believe it was last year in 2024, and they have just come into effect recently. I think it was the end of March, beginning of April 2025. So surrogacy is now legal in Michigan, and it is possible for intended parents to get a pre-birth order, which is incredible. And, it's thanks to parents like these two wonderful parents who have, and their lawyer, obviously, their legal team, who have been able to petition the state legislature and, really showcase how safe and effective and ethical surrogacy can be if it's done within a proper framework, a proper legislative framework, to ensure the safety and security of all parties involved. And actually, in this case, it shows that the security of the children, we always, at MSJ, for us, it's always about making sure that the intended parents and the surrogates are being taken care of, but it's also about thinking about the future welfare and well-being of the child, and being able to future-proof that child's family. For us and for me, it's really important to have all those legal securities in place. So I love the fact that, through this couple's hardship and through the support of their lawyers, they were actually able to petition Michigan and get those laws changed for the betterment of everybody going through surrogacy in the future in Michigan. So, yay, that's great. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, ring that notification bell to be shown all of our current and future videos. If you like this, please feel free to comment. Please keep the comments kind. Obviously, surrogacy can be an emotive topic for some people, particularly when you add in an adoption element. Things have kind of changed since this video because surrogacy is legal in Michigan, but we would love to hear your thoughts.